Today I'm going to be giving a presentation about the desires of some of the artists that we've been studying for the last couple weeks. These three artists include Salvador Dali, Oscar Niemeyer, and Pablo Neruda. So the first artist we're going to be exploring would be Salvador Dali. And Dali was known for his absurd paintings. The one that you see here on the right is one of his first paintings, which doesn't seem too absurd, but just the color use and some of the brush strokes and stuff were just some things that a lot of other people didn't use, but he was definitely known for being filled with strong emotions, which he expressed in all of his paintings. He had a very troubled and anxious childhood, which was run by his authoritarian father. Um, and Dali really strived to become more like his father throughout his life. But he actually developed into an artist with ideas that no one had ever had before and people had never seen. And when he first started out, many other artists dismissed him as a clown and just didn't take his art or him seriously at all. His work definitely depicted dream worlds and ones that would later be categorized as surrealist paintings. And this discovery of surrealism really just changed the game for Dali and gave him the freedom that he needed to create whatever he wanted to do. So the older that he got, his paintings definitely changed to a little bit darker themes. In this painting, which is known as The Great Masturbator, you can see a wide array of images that are all fitting into this one painting. So let's say we're going to look right up here, which is right by the nose of the face that you see in this painting, but up here is a locust, and Dali was known to be very deathly afraid of locusts. So he is actually putting one of his greatest fears right in the middle of his painting. Another thing that he seemed to be very um, not in the know, but very obsessed with was sexuality and sexual desire. So here in this part of the painting, we can see a female that's very close to a male. And this just really shows Dolly's desire for sexual things and just how much he really had those things in his paintings, this being one of the largest parts and most well known parts of this painting. Another part that we see is this face of a lion, and many people take it as different things, but when I look at it, it just kind of looks like um, the lion's just sticking his tongue out, as in, like, he's hungry for something, he's desiring something. But there's also teeth there to mean that maybe it's not the safest desire to be showing other people. So, just as far as this painting goes, Dali puts a lot of different things within this painting to show all of his emotions, which you can see is a wide array of emotions, and just him displaying just some of the things that he wished he had in his life. Way in the back here, which I wasn't able to find a picture of it, but there's two people slowly walking away from this lone figure, and that um, is known to be either Dolly with his mom or his dad, just kind of and walking away from him who he is now. Another huge thing that really inspired Dolly was illusions. So as you can see in these two pictures, we're going to start with the old couple or musician. You can see the face of an old woman here and the face of an old man here. But if you look at it from a different point of view, you can also see a musician with one of his friends or amigos um, next to him listening. And so just the ability to see two different points of view in one picture was something that Dolly really craved. He really liked that um, everyone's going to have a different point of view and everyone's going to take the same thing differently. And he also used this as another example of a painting, The Mysterious Lips, that appeared on the back of my nurse. So you can see here some mountains and two people. It seems like a woman and her child maybe sitting, but you can also see two eyes and then the mouth, and here are the lips, which are on the back of his nurse. So he really enjoyed using these kind of illusions in his paintings to really show people that there is different points of view and all of them are respected and cared about. We have the architect Oscar Niemeyer, who is from Brazil, and he was known for his modernism with sensuality. So one of his biggest works was his designing of Brasilia, which we'll be covering very soon. He was actually trained at the National School of Fine Arts under the dean, which was Lucio Costa. And he worked very closely with Costa as well as a Swiss architect as a draftsman. So he began out under other people and then later worked with these same people as equals, which was very important as he really showed what he was able to do. So here we're going to focus on Brasilia, which is full of government buildings, all in which Niemeyer designed. He was known for his curvaceous, lyrical, and hedonistic forms, as well as his quote, form follows beauty. So what really inspired Niemeyer in all of his works was the beauty and curvature of women, and we'll later see how that kind of plays in. But here you can see the casino which he built, and this casino was made out of concrete and glass. And then up here we can see the dance hall. And the contours of this, kind of the curvatures within the structure, are made to resemble the movements of samba. So he really created his buildings with another picture in mind, something other than just a building that people would look at. He wanted more. And he really did have a war with straight lines. As you can see in these three buildings alone, there aren't nearly any straight lines, and he had a war against these straight lines and wanted all of his lines to be curved. And in creating Brasilia, he really wanted to just create a world of perfect harmony, which is suggested in all of his buildings kind of coming together in one place. When he built this town, it originally depicted shapes of naked women sunbathing. So as you can see in these sketches, there are women here as well as one here, and his buildings are in the background. So at the forefront are these women, and he's just taking the curvature and the shapes that they have in their bodies to really influence his buildings here. And here's just a quote from him. He said that beauty is valued more than anything. So he wanted his buildings to represent beauty, and he found beauty in women. His work was very symbolic of how the body and mind work together. They're very different, as the body is very sensual and the mind is very rational, but they're actually not in opposition, and that's what he believed, that they actually work together. And that sensuality and dreams really are against a darker backdrop of the world. So that is Niemeyer. Our next artist is Pablo Neruda, and Neruda was a poet, and he was taught by Gabriela Mistral, and she really gave him books and support that he wasn't finding at home. He also had really strong emotions like Dolly, and he wrote one of his first books, I believe, was the 20 Love Poems and Song of Despair, which is very explicit and is in celebration of sexuality. So he was known as a frank, sensuous spokesman for love. And other poets really had tried to incorporate sexuality into their own writing, but until Neruda, there really wasn't popular acceptance in this. He really was inspired by women and nature in his writing, and he, instead of making women as just another alive thing on Earth, he really made them into a veritable force of the universe. He found women to be very strong, and nature also. So when he put them together, it just really made it so much stronger. He was sent as an ambassador to other countries where he became very lonely and in poverty. And while he was away, he wrote a book called Residencia en la Tierra, which is a resident of the world or someone living in the world. And this book really focused on the emphasis of despair and the lack of answers. And this was a time when Neruda really experienced a lot of change. He didn't only read or write about his emotions anymore. He really focused on all the things in the world and society and things like that, politics. He helped when he wrote this Residencia en la Tierra. It was really hard um, afterwards, seeing all the effects it had on other people. He actually wanted to ban his book because more people died after reading it rather than lived, and he really wanted people to live. Um, and then just going back to um, women in nature, he wrote a poem about just the body of a woman, and I'm just going to read that quick. There we go. Body of a woman, white hills, white thighs. You look like a world lying in surrender. My rough peasant's body digs in you and makes the sun leap from the depth of the earth. It also continues to say, body of my woman, I will persist in your grace, my thirst, my boundless desire, my shifting road, dark river beds where the eternal thirst flows, and weariness follows, and the infinite ache. So in exploring each of these artists, you can really see how women impacted their art and sexuality as well. Their strong feelings, their emotions were very involved in all that they created. So I really hope that you kind of got to see that aspect of this in an artist's view and how they use it to create things that many other people are afraid to create. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and here's my works cited.